small and medium-sized businesses are more than just side hustles, right? They are the backbone of this economy, like we mentioned earlier. Now, against this backdrop, stories of sustainable, community-rooted businesses always stand out, right? Businesses that not only survive, but win trust, scale impact, and uplift the people around them. Tonight on the YOUFM Business Hour, we bring you a special mini masterclass with one such entrepreneur, a woman who turned purpose into profit and resilience into recognition, right? Our guest tonight is Khabonina Mnguni. She's the founder of ZS Uniforms, a proudly South African business that has grown from humble beginnings into an award-winning enterprise. She's recognized for both excellence and community impact, from winning the Gauteng Standard Bank EmpowHer Award to being celebrated as a community champion. Her journey offers powerful lessons for anyone building a business in today's South Africa. This is not a normal show, like we said. It is a masterclass, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation. Khabonina, welcome.
Thank you so much, Lewu. Thank you for having me, and hello to your FM listeners.
I think we're both breaking ground into a new space.
Yes.
I'm hearing that it's your first radio interview.
Yes.
This is my first podcast, believe it or not. Scary as ever.
Scary for me too, but I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, so for somebody who's winning awards left, right, what brought you into entrepreneurship?
So I was in corporate for 13 years.
Okay.
I worked at Eskom. I was in finance. I did 2 years in marketing.
Yeah.
But I didn't find a lot of joy in my corporate job.
Yeah.
So when we started the business in 2020, and I saw obviously progress, you know, I made the decision in 2022 to leave my stable corporate job. I went to Njebati Kabo, you're taking some school tunique. And I was like, you know, I found so much joy. I found like purpose. I found like, actually, I feel so alive. You know, when I then embarked on the journey of entrepreneurship, and I really have no regrets. I'm really so blessed to be on this journey because I love what I do.
Yeah, you know, when you mentioned finance, there's a pattern in South Africa, and one of my brothers, Andile Khumalo, he's the founder of I'm an Entrepreneur.
Definitely know him.
Yeah, and he mentioned something quite interesting. When he went to school, he chose to be an accountant based on the fact that he looked at the JSE CEOs and he noticed accountants were the ones running companies. And he said, I want to be that guy. So he didn't choose that out of passion. He chose it with strategy in mind. And I've noticed that in South Africa, accountants are the ones that are actually thriving in businesses, finance people in general. I mean, I look at with Iyo, with Batu, he's an investment guy.
Absolutely.
There's a very clear track record and linkage between finance people and business. And generally we tend to think that it's salespeople, but what is it about numbers?
Leo, you know, I have no idea, and I think I'm just blessed because I have an aptitude for numbers, né? But I think having been in corporate for 13 years, I think there's certain skills and you know, lessons that we learned. Like Mina, I learned structure, I learned discipline. We learned obviously how to see things through. You know, you learn about systems, you learn about planning. So all those nuances, and I think if somebody obviously has an aptitude for numbers, then you obviously are able to understand the business better from a number perspective. So I think we're just blessed, I think, to obviously having been in finance and then see our businesses grow to the way that they are. And I look up to our Theo no Andile, and hopefully, you know, one day we'll definitely be on their level. But I think we're just blessed. Nami, I don't know, it's a gift that we have. And Nami, I come from a family as well of entrepreneurs. My grandparents were entrepreneurs.
Lovely.
So Nami, I think from paternal and maternal, ngati se kazini, so I also think those are the things Nati we almost carrying those generational, you know, gifts through.
I love it. I love it. Would you say entrepreneurship is a science or an art, or is it both? Like, how would you frame?
There's definitely a science to it, I think, because when you look at like Uguti, how you move in your business, the decisions you make, the strategies, your sale, like everything, your systems that you put into place, I think that has a lot of science to do with it. But I wouldn't really maybe call it an art. I think entrepreneurship is also a calling. It's a gift. I always say it's a gift. If you're blessed with it, you know, and you honor and respect the gift, I think that, you know, those two, the science and that gift, if you honor it and are able to respect it and hone it, I think that you can grow, you know, a lot. But it's also about studying as well, right? I think that you have to study your business, you have to study your markets, study your industry, know what's going on. There's just so many elements to it. So it's also obviously about being a continuous learner in this whole space, so that you can obviously see, you know, those developments and growth in your business.
Of all the sectors you could have chosen, why am I tuning?
Your school uniform. You know, when you look at school uniform retail shops, when you bought school uniforms, back in the day when you were growing up, when you're buying school uniforms for your kids, you never are buying school uniform in a township. In a retail store in a township. And I think for me, I saw the gap in that there are no large black female owned, you know, school uniform retail stores that are operating at a large, you know, scale when it comes to school uniforms in our township. And that's where we saw the gap. And for us, we are trying to make school uniform more convenient, you know, and affordable to, you know, our parents who live in the townships and beyond. I think we're not limiting ourselves to just operating in the township. But where we saw the gap is that our school uniform retail stores, they don't look like us when it comes to, you know, where we live, where we come from. And we obviously want to give it a new space, but also I think it's also exciting for kids to wear uniforms that are produced in the township by us. You know, so yeah, that's the beauty, I think, about the industry that we're in, that we can now make it look like us.
And what would you say is the core identity when customers are looking at your brand? What connects them to you?
Sure. So like I said, so for me, I think I'm very passionate about seeing Ikasle to be uplifted and empowered. I want to see it thrive. I want to be able to, you know, see businesses that are grown in the township by people from Tembisa thrive, you know, and I think people connect with that. Another thing that we do, we pride ourselves in the quality of the garments that we produce. You know, for us, and even just the service here too, from our retail perspective, we also make sure Guti, when people walk in, it doesn't feel like, they must make sure Guti, it's a retail store, like they must, you know, they must feel Guti, it's quality. And just because we're operating in a township, I always tell the team, Guti, we mustn't show it, you know, we must show up with absolute excellence. And I think that's what I think our people are connecting with, Guti. We can really serve our people with excellence, with quality. But again, we also do a lot of community initiatives. Like I said, I'm very, very passionate about making sure, Guti, we, you know, let's as tutu as black people, and we're the only ones that can, you know, do that for ourselves. So that's that's I think what makes people connect to us.
I'm finding that a lot of Tembisa based entrepreneurs are social at heart. I mean, I look at Usbusiso, DJ Sbu, and he's big on social and development. I look at Ubulelani, same, the work he's doing. Well, you know, you just like, there's heart here, and it's real, you know. Anyway, Bakholo, if you've just tuned in, it is the YOUFM Business Hour, and again, Selebogo Molefe, and we're currently having a conversation with the founder of ZS Uniforms, and it's crazy to believe that this is her first time doing radio when she's so articulate. I'm just like, what? She's just pulling my leg. Anyway, we're gonna take a quick break. It's an ad break, and we'll be back, and we're gonna continue the conversation. We're back. It's the YOUFM Business Hour. Selebogo Molefe. And you know, we're having a profile moment with the founder. It's a founder story. It's founder led. And those stories are beautiful. And I think what I'm finding inspiration in with this type of story is that she's not only just a black female entrepreneur in South Africa, thriving in her space, winning competitions, making sure that she's raising cheap capital through grants and competitions, but more importantly, building a sustainable business. And you know why? Because she spent her time in corporate. This is important to note. And number two, there's no way you're going without numbers. If you remember in our Food framework, we speak about compliance, cash flow, and customers. And she already has that leg food, she understands numbers, and that's so important for any entrepreneur who wants to thrive. It's very easy to start. It's very hard to continue consistently and build something of value. So absolutely loving the thing that is happening here. Now, Khabonina, you know, building an SME is absolutely not glamorous, and we know this. I often tell people that it feels like chewing glass and having to smile. And I've built a couple of businesses. One of our funding businesses, we built it to be a 500 million rand business, and then it crashed. It's in liquidation right now. You know, and it is painful. It is painful to see people go and whatever. Now, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in the early days, especially around funding, operations, and credibility?
Yeah, so definitely funding is a big issue, because you obviously are so passionate about the problem that you're solving, and you're saying, Oguti, guys, if I can just get a capital, guys, I can scale, I can, you know, supply more schools, give me machines, let me manufacture, let's industrialize, and, you know, so that we can create employment, empower more people. Funding has really been tough. I mean, I've applied to a number of funding institutions, and, you know, things like off-take agreements, because my customer, they come to me, you know, those type of challenges. But again, also market access, I think, has been really tough, because when you look at like doing big scale projects like as a uniform or school uniform, at the moment, you know, our small scale manufacturing facility can't, you know, handle those big orders yet. You know, and we're saying, guys, give us a chance. Even getting into, you know, the private sector has also been a challenge. Good, guys, risk easing in just a bit. Let's get, you know, access to these markets, you know, but make it tangible. And I think for me, you know, even just getting funding for CSI, for the impact work that we're doing, that's also been a challenge, because you approach all these corporates and you're like, guys, you know, this is the impact that we've done already. Help us to, you know, reach more kids. And, you know, you obviously are met with no responses if there are, you know, but we've had great partners. I also don't want to lie. And like you said, Uguti, the grants have helped. You know, I'm on I've been on an enterprise development program. I'm on an ESD program as well. So those initiatives also help to grow. But I think there is a lot of work, and I think I do want to try see Uguti, when a Khabo or any other entrepreneur is facing the same challenges, how do we make sure, Guti, they don't suffer the way that we have? Because I do think that it really is about high time that we make it a little easier, you know, for people, especially in entrepreneurship, to really show up and really build really great businesses. And abantu banengi that you know, I think are doing great. And we really are looking for opportunities. And I always say to people, Guti, guys, I'm ready to work. Don't, even if not funding, you go, it sends a uniform, and then let's then see where we go.
Looking at some of your past mistakes, which ones of those felt like the biggest lessons, and what were those lessons?
I mean, I think the biggest mistake we did when we started was not understanding pricing.
Okay. Fair.
We didn't understand Guti gross profit. Obviously, accounting, accounting, the gross profit margin, revenue minus cost of but when you then are putting it into practicality, you know, when you're now pricing
in your own business,
absolutely, you know, that for me, it was really tough. And even like, because we're a product-based business, we were using third-party suppliers a lot, you know, so overbuying stock, that also now when stock is clearly, you rely on third-party suppliers that, you know, don't meet your quality standards, but you've already bought the material or they've already sewn it. Now what are you going to do, you know? Those, I think, you know, the mistakes that I think I've made, but in the same breath, it's learnings, right? And I think that the only way that you are going to grow in any career or any path is, you know, the mistakes that you make. And there's no way that you are not going to make mistakes. Like even now, there's still mistakes that I make, you know, so it's just about, I think, growing and learning from them. And
we learn best through failure.
Absolutely.
If we're being right. And this is where we learn resilience.
Absolutely, absolutely level.
Now, many entrepreneurs quit when things get tough. This is something we often notice. What has kept you going in the difficult moments?
Honestly, this journey, I always say to my sister, it's been really tough. Because coming from a stable salary and manje, you're just like, oh my God. Like, I
was telling somebody that entrepreneurs pray more than anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to then say, Guti, from a spiritual perspective, I think, like I said, because I think entrepreneurship is a calling and a gift. And I always say, Guti, my grandparents are my biggest inspiration. Back in the 80s, with very little to no schooling, they built amazing businesses. Like, you know, the shop that we're operating from now was built by my grandparents, right, back in the 80s, and their business was really thriving. Amazing. And I'm just like, guys, if they could do it, Tina, you know, what's stopping us? That really keeps me going. But definitely the faith. I pray a lot, I cry a lot, because it's tough, but I also have a great support system, like my sisters, like my everything. And she's really, really helped, you know, to honestly hold me up, because there were obviously times that you're just like, the numbers don't work. How am I going to sustain my lifestyle? How am I going to live? Yeah, well, how am I going to get through the next month, you know? So God comes through. He really, really shows up. And I think I also, obviously, like, my family is amazing. But Mina Lebo, I love my job. I always say, good to Mina, guys, I'm not going back to corporate. Angna plan B. Mina, this is my plan. Boy, this is my plan. So it has to work. It's got to work, or it's got to work. Like, Angna plan. So for me, again, that's why I never have this thing, Guti, let me quit, because of how much I love what I'm doing, but also I can see just how much we can do with what, you know, we're trying to build, and that excites me as well. Guti mana, let me just hold on. We really can really grow. Yeah.
If you've just tuned in, it is the YOUFM Business Hour, and Selebogo Molefe, and you know, we're currently having a founder moment here. You know, when I hear such inspiring stories that are real and are full of grit, it just reminds you of what happens out there in the streets, in the trenches, really building as something else. Bagolo, it is the YOUFM Business Hour, and it's 28 minutes past 6, and you know, we're going to be sharing with you the opportunity GPS. And you know, I think that one's an important one. If you've tuned into the show before, you know that this is a very important segment for us. It's where we try and plug you as an entrepreneur into opportunities in general. We're just going to take a quick break, and when we're back, we'll be sharing those opportunities. I want to bring us back to our very important conversation and our guest for today, who's gracing us with her presence. Her name is Khabonina Mnguni, and you know, she's our masterclass guest, and she's dropping some pearls of wisdom, really amazing and articulate. She's the founder and director of ZS Uniforms, an award-winning entrepreneur. And I want us to come and talk more about how you won these awards. You know, like, what does one do? Because we've got a feature on Mondays. Our feature is we call it an elevator pitch. Okay. So I'm known as a pitch master. Nice. I coach entrepreneurs how to pitch, and I've put them on platforms, and they've gone on and scaled and built big businesses. Oh. But pitching is hard.
Very. Oh my God.
That thing is difficult. People make it sound like it's a small thing. Even I used to make it sound like it's small, but now I've got far more empathy after having gone through thousands of entrepreneurs who do this stuff, you know. But for you, this journey of pitching and entering these, what prompted you to do that in the first place?
You know, I can't even remember why I started, because my first pitching competition was the Hollywood Foundation one, the Bambelela in 2023. Yeah. The first one, I was so nervous. They said 3 minutes. We prepared for 3 minutes. Next thing was 90 seconds. But luckily, I was part of the top 30 there. And I think after that, then I was like, okay, if I can do this, I must just get better. And I think it isn't, though. You must just start and uzofunda phambili. But I think pitching competitions have a great opportunity for you, like, to obviously learn and understand your business better, understand how to pitch, you know, your USP, what you're doing. But also, obviously, you get to engage with a lot of people. I've met amazing people on, you know, with the pitching competitions that I've done. And yeah, last year I think was probably the most successful I've been, because I won 3 awards last year.
Yeah, when it's your time, it's your time. Grace just locates you.
You know, and I'm really blessed. So, and the first one, so it was the Standard Bank EmpowHer for Gauteng. So I came first in that, and then in August I did the Access Bank and Regenesis School of Business. Yes. But I came second in that. The pitch and win, the pitch and win competition, I came second in that, and then in the Iwisa community champion for Gauteng, I then took first place in that, you know. So it really, I think I'm really, really blessed to, I think when I practice, pitching, I practice, I've watched the endless videos on how to pitch, you know, how do you, even understand Uguti, Mabati 1 minute, what must you put in that 1 minute, Mabati 3 minutes, what must you put in those 3 minutes?
I love what you're saying. So you figured out the playbook and it became a hack. What is the framework for you?
I think number one, you must state the problem, the solution. What makes you 1 minute, and then I think impact is important. And obviously then how have you done your traction? I think those are, I think I'd say top 5. And then obviously if you can, again, then your why is important. I think a lot of people leave that out because they make it very like, I'm going to corporatize and sell a business. But again, I think everyone, I think Andy Lukumalo also says, Guti, they back the jockey. So your why as well, and why did you start? I think for me, those are, I think, the 6 sort of pointers that I'd give anyone looking to do competitions.
I love it. You started with problem statement, which is so critical. And it is the thing to do, like explain the problem to us quite clearly, simply. And if it doesn't make sense to Nkhonoaka or to my 5-year-old daughter, it's not going to make sense to any customer. I absolutely love and how you put that out there. Anyway, Bakhulu, it is the YOUFM Business Hour. Selebogo Molefe, and we're currently having a conversation with Khabonina Mnguni, who's the founder and director of ZS Uniforms. And I heard something quite amazing with her story, is that it's a legacy business. It's continuity, it's generational. From grandparents, there's inheritance of a shop, and then there's revival and renewal. Like, this is what we want. We want our kids to inherit such beautiful things. We'll be up for a short break, and then we'll be back right after this. And we're back. It is the YOUFM Business Hour. Selebogo Molefe. Bakhulu, I hope you've been listening, and I hope you're finding inspiration. I love that we ended off in our last question just before the break around the framework. You know, she broke down for us what it takes to win. This is not a fluke. She didn't do it once, not twice. She figured out the hack. There's a hack to things. Once you figure out the hack, you cut through the fluff, you do the thing, you win. Because entrepreneurship is both science and art. The science is the business, right? The art is that special magic that you bring, which is unique to your identity. So figure out these two things, but never mess with the science. If you mess with the science, you're not going to get the outcome that you're looking for. She ended off with why you're doing it, because impact is important. It becomes the founder story that connects people in that way. So absolutely inspired by that response, because it tells you that you're speaking to somebody who's seasoned here, who's cooked, who knows where they're going in life. You've spoken before about values and systems. How important are structure, discipline, and compliance in building a business that can scale?
I think they almost like the backbone of your business. One thing I realized, even in corporate, what it taught me is that like right? So same as like if you're building a business, you need to respect it, right? There's certain ways that you need to carry yourself, you know, the professionalism, how you're running the business, like you're saying, the systems that you're putting into place, you know, and are you a person of your word? Another thing is that, are you reliable? You know, are you able to be honest? If you can't deliver, you know, are you, open and upfront about that? You know, if there are challenges, are you accountable? You know, and also, I mean, sometimes I'm also okay to say, I can't take this opportunity. I don't think I can deliver. Or also, if I'm late or I'm very quick to say, guys, I was wrong here. How can we make it right? You know, and I think those type of values, how you carrying yourself, are you, professional? You know, even just it's cards. Are you on time? Are you punctual? You know, when people are, going for meetings, are you prepared? Do you show up 10 minutes late or whatever? And, it's a waste of people's time, even when you are on ESD programs or ED programs, how do you show up? So I think there are a lot of factors that you have to embody when it comes to you being able to build a sustainable and scalable business.
I hear you. Now, with your business, it's been recognized for both business success as well as community impact, which is quite amazing. Can you just share a story that best captures what that impact and success looks like for you?
So in Tinalebo, when I first started the business, when we operated the retail store, so we opened it up in 2022.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lie, Mina, for the first time I saw ukuthi abantwana are going to school with torn uniforms. Abanye, their school shoes are torn, their clothes are torn. And for me, that like was a, I don't know, like a light bulb moment, because honestly, I wasn't privy to that reality. You know, even though we grew up in the township, obviously there's Funda, you know, Etlobeni, and I was just like on some, you know what, something has to change here, you know, and that's why we then, you know, built our CSI arm, which is called the Threats for Ikasi Foundation, and that's the, you know, then we do the impact work. And for me, the success, I think I measure by how many lives we're able to touch. I mean, our goal is to reach 1 million learners. We're on a, you know, I think we should be almost on 2,000 yet now.
That's
amazing. Well, and we want to, obviously this year again, we want to, you know, do over 1,000. You know, and it's the 2,000 we've reached over a number of years. So if every year we can obviously aim to you know, impact more learners, I think that will show success. But I think for me, we must be able to restore dignity abantwana elokishini, even in rural areas. You know, I think we're able to make sure that we empower them on their educational journeys. So like I say, Gutimina, our business is not, I'm just not about profit, or I'm not just about building a school uniform, or you know, a uniform business that's called, you know, manufacturing and retailing. You know, the impact work for me makes you know, the work so much more.
Margins are tight in product businesses. So how do you balance between social responsibility and profitability of
So, you know, I honestly believe that like I said, our business cannot and will not exist without the impact work, right, that we do. But obviously, from a profit perspective, the better we do, you know, the more schools we supply, the better we are from a, you know, business performance perspective. Our numbers, our operations, our systems, you know, how we manufacture, are we, you know, conscious of our costs, are we conscious of, you know, our top line, what are we doing to make sure that we improve it? You know, when we're able to obviously be bigger from a profit perspective, we obviously are able to employ more locals. We're obviously able to invest back in the community, but also then, you know, impact the lives of learners. So I think for me, yes, it's a balancing, but at the heart for me of why we're doing what we're doing, it really is about the impact work of ensuring that we're empowering learners from our communities, and just not Tembisa. You know, last year we went to the Eastern Cape with, you know, East Standard Bank. This year we're also doing obviously more work in Tembisa, because we've obviously, you know, are from there, and you know, we must start at home. But I'm really looking forward to ensuring that we are now spreading our wings and going across the country to make sure that we're empowering learners.
That's amazing. So you do corporate partnerships for the CSI component?
Absolutely. Yes. And we're looking for partners, you know, and we've partnered with also a great corporate, you know, now we're going to do 100 learners. We're also doing 50 learners with another NPO called Roots 182. And for me, those type of partnerships also obviously help us to reach, you know, more learners. And, you know, it really is, for me, I'm happy to collaborate with our corporates across, you know, the board, so that we can make sure that, you know, abantwana go to school dressed in full school uniform. And a lot of people do school shoes, and for me, I'm just like, guys, you know, we've got our Futumala school jersey drive, we do school jerseys in the winter time, you know, so that we, you know, are not just doing shoes only. And then we've got our 1,000 uniforms initiative, where we do full school uniforms for learners. So for me, we're all about saying, Guti man, let's dress the learners on top of, you know, them having shoes. You're putting shoes on torn socks, or a child who has torn pants, you understand? And I mean, yes, the shoes make a difference, but then for us, we come in and say, let's clothe them. And Nakona, we can, you know, make sure that we are manufacturing ourselves, we control it, and make sure that, you know, they get good quality stuff from us.
There should be a collabo, as I'm hearing you. There should be a collabo, especially when I'm thinking about what Utio is doing, and a few other entrepreneurs I know in the space. Like there should be a conversation at that level, that hey, you're doing this, we want to complement with this. How do we make sure that you bring in your corporate partners into this, so that we scale the impact?
100%. I'd love that.
Because, you know, seeding community, these are your future customers.
Absolutely.
I think that's what I'm hearing. That's the lesson that I'm taking from you as you mentioned this, that, you know, support that community, and in turn it will plant back those seeds into your own business and keep you alive.
Absolutely.
I love that. This is the YOUFM Business Hour. Selebogo Molefe, and we're currently having a conversation with Khabonina Mnguni. She's the founder and director of ZS Uniforms, and she's telling us her impact story. But what we are doing out of this, because it is a masterclass, we're drawing the lessons, we're packaging them, and then as you consume them on your end, you'll realize how important it is to build a business with soul. Impact is at the heart of what entrepreneurship should be about. We'll be back right after this. And we're back. It's the YOUFM Business Hour. It's crazy when you're having lovely, productive conversations. Time flies too fast. This is the other side. Now I'm starting to understand why they do 2-hour, 3-hour podcasts about Rogan and all of these people. Because I'm always sitting there, I'm like, why would you hold a conversation for 2 hours, 3 hours? Now I understand why long-form podcasting exists. It's for such, because there's so much to draw and drink from the world of wisdom. A conversation with Khabonina Mnguni, and it is 18:52, so we're 8 minutes in, and we're about to finish off the show, so we're gonna try and wrap it up beautifully for you. Now, what is the one hard truth about entrepreneurship that people don't often talk about, just from your experiences?
I think how spiritual it is. Like I said, Uguti, entrepreneurship is a gift, and I think people don't talk about that enough. We always talk about, oh, it's so hard, I'm not making money, I don't have clients, I don't have sales. But for me, that it really is such a special gift that not everyone gets to experience. So when you are then blessed with that gift, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to show up for that gift, right? And I can't remember, like, God, blesses you with the gift of entrepreneurship, and you then obviously become a vessel, to then show that gift to the world. So then you really honoring it and showing up for it, I think then your powers and God and your ancestors will meet you halfway. I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
Yes.
I'm not saying, Guti, you will be a multi-millionaire in the first year, or there won't be challenges. But I think a lot of the time we don't really talk about just what a gift it is, and it's not everyone who gets to experience it.
I hear you. And finally, what are the top 3 non-negotiables for building a business that lasts?
Professionalism, definitely.
Yep.
And you must show up.
Yeah.
Definitely. Sales.
Yes.
Sales is important.
Yeah.
And I've obviously learned, I'm not a sales master yet, but I think you have to master your sales. And then I think people.
Yes.
People like me, I'm blessed with an amazing team, and I wouldn't be where I am without the people that I work with. I work with my cousin Kosi, who's absolutely amazing. We've got an amazing team.
Yeah.
I think we're now up to about 14 people.
Yeah.
So those people help us to see this vision through. They help us to express the gift that we've been blessed with. So for me, I think those 3 at the top of my head are important, that you must be able to manage these 3 well.
I absolutely love it, because it speaks to my heart. You can't run business without people. I keep hearing everybody saying AI is going to take our jobs, and I don't think we're thinking with sobriety when we...
but we're African as well, so we must calm down. We're all about people.
There you have it, Bagolo. It's been an amazing conversation with Khabonina Mnguni, and we will drop below. We'll drop where you can find them, contact details and stuff like that.
YOUFM Business Hour, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m. only on YOUFM.